Hello Nerd Fam, how are we? Hope you've been keeping well. If you're anything like me, you've spent the last, I don't know, several hours scrolling habitually through those photos that we got to see through that IGN article last night, giving us our first official look at a few highly anticipated bots. That aside, it's been a pretty big sort of 48 hours in general. So we've got like the official reveals, and then we've got some more information from some more circuitous routes that's going to require a little more speculation on our part. But let's start with what we know for realsies. Let's start with Kingdom Deluxe Class Scorponok. Woohoo! More Predacons! This is my Predacon song! It's just good. Megatron needs some support, right? Like at the moment, all he's got is Black Arachnia and a couple of Bone Boys. That sounds wrong. Paleo Pals? So it'll be great to be able to finally add another Predacon to his side of the fence. I've always felt a little bit like, in a lot of ways, he's kind of Astro Train's spiritual successor. He's got like the grey on purple with the yellow accents thing going on, which is carried through in this new toy and with some bright red accents, which is pretty cool. I think I would have liked it if it maybe just stayed to the legs and we could have left the stinger out of it. It looks very reminiscent of how he came across in the show, if not slightly more realistic and less kind of cartoony scorpion eyes. He does, if we're, you know, quibbling, if we're picking nits. I do have to point out, something seems a little bit off with some of his proportions. His legs seem a little bit small when compared to the trunk of his body. Like, he is a top-heavy dude with the, you know, castanets of doom. I would have really liked it if that waist could have been a little bit more tapered, just a little bit more, and if the legs had somehow had a little bit more mass to them. Get that, like, it looks like from the pictures the legs are now part of the tail transformation. So that's fine, but I do think that added aspect of the transformation of having the legs tuck away inside the scorpion tail has cost us a little bit in terms of his general monkey man proportions. We also get the mega missiles and the cyber beat. I think it's too much to ask that they actually have any kind of firing gimmick, but the claws are articulated, you can probably pull them in and out. That's enough for me. I don't need spring-loaded gimmickry at this point. I'm happier with the way things have been going, where we've been going for screen accuracy and robot mode articulation over any kind of, you know, cyber planet key gimmickry or anything like that. Next on the plate, we've got Galvatron. Now, at this point, I can't imagine anyone was surprised.
Oh, there's a big surprise! That's an incredible... I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise!
We've been getting a lot of pictures of Galvatron recently. These official photos did make him look a little bit cooler than he has in some of the other photos. Like, the angles are a little bit lower, so his proportions feel a little bit better. But to me, it does still look quite a lot like his arms are a little bit too long for his body and his shoulders are sitting a little bit low. And even though he seems like he's going to be a reasonably big figure, it does make him have sort of like a squat feeling, like he's been hammered into his legs a little bit. I don't want any Return to Oz TikTok dimensions in my Galvatron. Not a big gal. We also, with these official photos, got to see some better pictures of his alt mode. It seems much more toy accurate than screen accurate. It's got a little bit of like nightmare wood chipper to it. I don't know, something about it just makes me think of Homer Simpson making a barbecue pit.
That's a fine looking... Down! Come here! Come on, fit! You!
Like, I love the matrix on the chain, but unless that is something, like a plot point that shows up in the Netflix Kingdom installment, even more so, I really feel like Galvatron probably should have come out in the studio series under the 86 banner. I guess it was like a not being completely confident in Beast Wars thing. I'm glad we're getting him, but it's weird, right? And lastly, by way of official reveals, we got to see this year's Titan class offering, the Autobot Ark. Yeah. I need more. I need to see much more of it. First impression, first thing I thought when I saw it was like, hey, You look a lot like the last Autobot. That's neat. That's nifty. So that was kind of cool. I guess he did turn into a big ship. We've been doing a lot of very slavishly G1 things lately. And when I first got into collecting, it was the Unicron trilogy. That was taking a lot of those cool concepts and just being inventive with it. You know, I like it. It's something new. It's something different, right? We've been rocking and jamming on the same bots and concepts for a while now, which I love. But it's nice to see something different. So like, do you remember when there was the first sort of set of leaked images and it looked like there was the Ark and the bit came down at the back, which it still looks like it does. And then there was also that picture that had Teletran 1 that looked like it folded out into some kind of like display stand or maybe like launching gear or something like that. What we got with this one in the official pictures is it looks like Teletran 1 can into a little computer dude running about being like, "You're never gonna catch me." One thing that did throw me a little bit, and I'm having kind of trouble reconciling in my mind, is in the description they said that Teletran 1, like the chest piece of the Ark, can come off, and Teletran 1 is that. Like the chest comes off, turns into Teletran 1. In the pictures, it's really clear that that dude or dudette is Teletran 1. And I just can't see where that chest integration is coming from starting the pictures. It just doesn't seem like that's an accurate description of what it does. That just seems like a really separate entity and still a really cool one. That's going to go great in everyone's dioramas. It's hard to imagine that anyone is going to be displaying that as the robot and not as Teletran 1. In terms of the actual bot itself, there are a couple of things that just put me off at just the littlest bit having a look at it. Like, that arm kibble seems very big for what is such a large figure. Just looking at the way it probably transforms, it feels very Cyberverse over kind of generations. Then when it was the Ark, did anyone else think it was particularly cheeky that those huge side panels are just left open? Like on a Titan class figure, on the Titan class figure, I would be expecting the panels to come down and cover that area. It is lacking a certain je ne sais quoi. Just bad accents aside, don't you think? That's a very big area to have exposed on something like that. I have to admit, it does seem like a missed opportunity not to at least have some Micromaster and Titan Master integration with it when that has been such a big thing through the whole War for Cybertron trilogy. Maybe we just haven't seen it yet. Like, it is still very early days. Hopefully there's some areas, cargo bays or something, where you can at least put some Micromasters, because that would be fun. Same as most Titans have their like vehicle mode, robot mode, and then an extra base mode. So hopefully there's like a base mode or something with a bit more play pattern integration that we still haven't seen yet. And you know, you'll be able to unfold and position them in a way where it feels like you're in that actual base where they all hung out so much of the time. Fingers crossed. Lastly, we have a buttload of leaks, reveals, pre-listings. Yeah? For a whole mess of stuff, courtesy of Amazon Australia. There were like dozens of listings. I think it might have almost been everything scheduled for the rest of the year, to be honest. So I don't want to go through everything because a lot of it was stuff we already know is coming, like, you know, pipes and Rhinox and stuff like that. But there was a lot of things on there that piqued my curiosity and a few things that I'm quite looking forward to. So I thought we'd hit my Hamman highlights on these ones. So as well as the regular Kingdom listings, we also had a few listings for like Kingdom Golden so-and-so. Like there was Golden Pterosaur, Golden Tigertron, and Golden Jackpot. That was me just checking my notes. So I, for one, am really interested to see what these golden variations or variants or whatever they are turn out to be. I think that's going to be really exciting. Then there was a bunch of SG listings, which based on previous rumours, I think it's pretty safe to assume was a bunch of Shattered Glass listings. And based on another separate listing that I saw, they might be coming with comic books or something as well. But from what I saw quickly, there was Blur, Megs, Goldbug, and Jetfire. So that'll be really, really interesting to see what molds they use to realize those shattered glass variants, because like Good Guy Megatron was kind of based off of his Energon mold. So it'd be cool if they did that and then just did Energon Megatron as well, because I would happily buy both. Next, there was a bunch of Studio Series 86 listings. There was a King Starscream, which could be really exciting. I don't know if that'll be a new mold or potentially just like a slightly redressed Earthrise Starscream with a bunch of accessories. And just like that, a new day dawned on putting together the definitive Secret Collection. There was still that listing as well for Slag and Daniel, which I'd assumed was just like a placeholder name for Grimlock and Wheelie to not blow that cover, but it might actually be its own separate thing that we still just haven't seen yet, so fingers crossed on that, because I would love to add more Dinobots of that caliber to my collection. There was also the listing for Retgar, which we already knew was coming. That's going to be really exciting, because with Retgar, swap out a head, swap out a shoulder accessory, change the paint scheme a little bit, and you've got a few Junkions to work with, which is pretty dope. I almost wouldn't be surprised with the amount of accessories that we're sort of getting with a lot of the Studio Series figures if they don't preempt that and the Retgar figure just comes with 2 or 3 different heads to use. That would be pretty cool. That hits on sort of a lot of the stuff Marvel, like Hasbro does with their Marvel Legends line, where it's, you know, you can buy a pack of goons and you get the different heads to goon out your goons however you want to. From there, the army building just gets bigger. There's a listing for the Sweeps, so that'll be a slightly remolded version of Studio Series Scourge, I would assume. What really excites me though is the listing for a Studio Series 86 Nor. Try and tell me they're not going to be exceptionally difficult to get a hold of. I'll probably pre-order 2 and then maybe try and catch another one in the wild. You can't have too many Sharkticons. That's the whole friggin' point of the Sharkticons. Then lastly, like, as well as a bunch of Generation Select stuff, which a lot of it will be cool, like Artfire and Sideswipe and Night Prowler and things like that, which I'm pretty sure we know what we're going to get with those, right? There were some weirder listings too that aren't as immediately obvious. The main one that comes to mind for me from that list is the Unicron Galvatron. Now it's quite an expensive figure. I think it was listed at 110 Australian, and the Shatterglass, the SG Jetfire, the Commander Jetfire, whatever it's going to be, I think it's Shatterglass Jetfire, but that was 150. So it's clearly not just going to be the Galvatron toy colored repaint like we think / know is coming at some point. It's a little more open to interpretation. And with it being Unicron Galvatron, I'm kind of hoping that they have an all black like wireframe paint job, like when they're getting transformed from their original variations. That would be just so cool. Or if it was like Galvatron with half of his paint scheme being the wireframe, and it came with a Megatron that was painted up with all of his mechanical details inside. Ooh, I don't know. Oh, it's so much fun, isn't it? This thing that we do, the robot speculation. I need to know. And then we have a couple of Transformers Cross. So we got Transformers Project Park, which there's been a lot of rumors about us getting a T-Rex Megatron in a Jurassic Park done up thing. I do hope that he has his own distinct head so that it's more his own thing. Even a slightly remolded chest I would be cool with. I wouldn't be surprised if they use some Jurassic Park Jeep color elements on that robot deco. I also kind of hope that it's not just Megatron, and I really, really hope it has a slightly reworked, remolded Hound to work as a JP Jeep. The two together would make for such a phenomenal pack that I really, really hope it actually happens. The other crossover project that was listed is a little more mysterious. Project Bat. I've seen a lot of people already online saying that there's no way that it could possibly be anything Batman because of how licenses are tied up and things, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like a Michael Keaton early 90s Batman Batmobile. Because I think I read somewhere as well about it potentially coming with a cloth cape or something like that. That just says Batman to me. But I don't know, we're just going to have to wait and see. With the fact that on April 9th, the Hasbro Pulse Hasconoramaropolis is happening, where they're smashing out a whole bunch of new dates for all of their properties in lieu of being able to do regular sort of toy fair business. They're doing that big online release thing. I'm hoping that we get to see more than just the 3 figures that they've shown us so far. I'm hoping that was just a little tease. And surely, we're going to get to see Rhinox and Tigatron at this point. I would like to see, hopefully someone in a video will be holding up the Ark so we can see it in, like, you know, IRL. But until such time, I'm going to have to leave you with your delightful thoughts of robots. Hope you enjoyed coming for the ride as I process my thoughts about a lot of the exciting things we've got to go. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more news, rumors, reveal, roundup business. And check out some other videos while you're here, because what else are you doing?